Hey guys, I'm back with another writing video. I'm going to try not to make this video too long, but I wanted to share some stories, my stories, and some of the first grader stories. Some things that I want you to remember is, when you're writing these stories, it needs to be about real things. I've tried to show you examples of stories that are real, with real people, real actions, real settings, real feelings. Also, you need to make sure that you zoom in on the tiny details. Don't write about too much. Tell the little actions, okay? And you also need to bring your story to life. Add the talking and the feeling and the thinking and the moving, okay? Now, one other thing that you can do, which we've seen in a lot of books, is you can add chapters to your story. I've attached Henry Mudge and the Happy Cat again. You will see the chapters in there are, chapter 1 is What Is It? Chapter 2, A Good Mother. Chapter 3, A Surprise. So chapter 1 is basically the beginning, where they get the cat. And then chapter 2 is where the cat takes care of Mudge. And then chapter 3, A Surprise, is where the owner takes the cat back. So it's almost like a beginning, middle, and end of the story. In this story, Henry and Mudge and the Cold Shivers, chapter 1 is called The Sick Day. So that's when Henry gets sick. Chapter 2 is called The Vet. So that's when Mudge gets sick. And then chapter 3 is called The Big Kiss. So that's the end of the story, when everybody's better. Okay? So Cynthia Rylant must have thought through what would happen in the story. And then she made each chapter a part of the story. You could have chapters in your stories. It excites the reader about what is going to come next. Okay? Fiction writers often divide their stories into chapters. And one way to do that is to have a beginning, a middle, and the end. The beginning is where you introduce what's going on. The middle is the trouble. And the end is where you fix the trouble. Sometimes the trouble's so big that you might have a beginning, middle, end. You might have 4 chapters, okay? So I wrote about Michelle and Emma at the beach. Remember when Michelle was scared to go in the water? And so if I was planning out another story for them about where Michelle got a new kite for her birthday, and she wanted to go fly the kite with Emma, but then the kite got stuck in a tree. So maybe I would think about 3 chapters that I could have, 3 chapters that I could have for that story. And maybe chapter 1 would be called Flying High, where the kite goes up in the air. And then chapter 2 might be called It's Stuck, where the kite gets stuck in the tree. And then chapter 3 might be called The Hero, where somebody saves the day and gets the kite down. You can give your chapter titles little like interesting titles like that you can make the titles interesting. They don't have to tell everything. But like when we read Ivy and Walter, I think, where he got lost in the on the field trip, that had some interesting titles. And remember, we talked about how you can think about what's going to happen in the story just by the title. Remember that when you plan your story, you can tell the story to yourself as the beginning, middle, and end, and tell what each chapter might be. And then you can add in any missing parts that you think about, things that you're missing, and then give the chapters a title, okay? Each part of your story should be filled with action and dialogue and character thoughts and feelings and a setting, okay? So tell your story to yourself, the beginning, middle, and end. Tell what is going to be in each chapter. And then think about it and think if you missed any parts, and then add those parts in. And then give the titles to your chapters. Sometimes you can write the book at the end and then go back and add the titles and move some things around. That's also an option as well. So Annabelle her story, she started giving her story titles. So she said up here, find it. It says, one cloudy day, Violet was going on an errand. She lives in the country. All of a sudden, she saw a little newborn puppy. Violet thought, I don't want that puppy to get hurt. And then chapter 2 is called Get It Comfy. She took the puppy into her home. Here, I'll put you in a box and I'll give you my smallest blanket. Now, these are real things that could happen. Look at her face, the feelings, the thought boxes. The puppy was white with gray smudges. There's the describing. She named it Cloudy. Dinner her mom called. Guess what? I found a puppy today, and I didn't want it to get hurt in the storm. Violet, that's nice of you to try to save the puppy, but me and your father don't want a dog. But she's so cute. You can keep her until her mom comes. Okay, Mom. Violet, please go in your room and get your pajamas. Violet thought, I want to keep the puppy. How will I get Mom to like dogs? Go to bed, Violet, her mom called. So you see, she didn't make up the last title yet. What would you give the last title of her story? Or maybe she needs the last chapter of her story. Maybe she needs 4 chapters in her story. What would you call them? Okay, she made 2. Now in my story, which I'm going to attach my 2 stories here about the beach, and then here's the one Michelle and Emma fly a kite, flying high. Ding, ding. Michelle, Emma's here, Michelle's mom yelled. Coming, replied Michelle. Michelle ran downstairs and opened the door. Are you ready? Asked Emma. Yeah, let's go, replied Michelle, as she grabbed her bag with her fancy new kite. Michelle and Emma scampered off to the park with Michelle's new kite. She'd gotten it for her 8th birthday. It was purple and pink and in the shape of a heart. See how I described it? I didn't just say it was fancy. It even had shiny glitter all over it. She couldn't wait to show Emma how to fly it. Emma was her best friend. They did everything together. So I'm telling about the characters. This is going to be so much fun, said Emma. I've never flown a kite before. When they got to the park, there were not too many people there, just some older boys playing basketball. Michelle and Emma went to the open field. They took the kite out of the package and untangled the string. It should fly high today, said Michelle. It's pretty windy. Let's go, said Emma. Michelle went first, and she laid the kite on the ground and held the string. She started running across the field away from the trees. See how I added in away from the trees? Because I wanted the reader to know that something's going to happen with the trees. Soon, the kite was up in the air. There's a time word, moving your story along. Soon. Soon the kite was up in the air. Emma jumped up and down and cheered. So how was she feeling? I didn't say it, I showed it. It's flying, she yelled. The boys playing basketball even stopped to look at the kite soaring across the sky like a bird. There's my comparison. It dipped, twisted, and turned with the wind. After a while, there's another word, some words to move the story along. Michelle got tired and she ran back towards Emma. When she stopped, the kite slowly drifted to the ground. See how I'm always fixing it along the way and adding things in and changing things? She wound the kite string back onto the spool. Now it was Emma's turn. Emma laid the kite on the ground just like Michelle had done. She pulled the kite by the string and began running across the field toward the trees. The kite lifted into the air again. Emma laughed and laughed as she ran and ran. She couldn't believe that she did it on her first try. She was so happy that she didn't hear Michelle scream, "Watch out for the trees!" Look how I wrote that in big letters. Then I added in a suddenly. Michelle's eyes got wider and wider, and her mouth dropped open as Emma got closer and closer to the trees. She started to run toward Emma, but it was too late. The kite was all tangled up in the tree branches. Emma tried to pull the kite loose, but she couldn't. She couldn't believe what she had done. Tears began to run down her face. How was she feeling? Oh no, I ruined Michelle's new kite, she thought. Michelle finally made her way across the field to where Emma was. I'm so sorry, Emma said with her head down. What are we going to do? I don't know, Michelle said. She knew her parents would be mad if they didn't get that kite. Michelle jumped as she heard, Hey, you need help? She turned around and there were the basketball boys. Yes, Michelle said to the boy that had spoken to her. My kite got stuck in the tree. Don't worry, said the boy. I can get it. Michelle and Emma watched as the boy shimmied up the tree as fast as a squirrel. There's another comparison. He crawled from branch to branch until he got to where the kite was stuck. He pulled it loose, tucked it under his arm, and quickly climbed back down. He handed the kite to Michelle. Hey, thanks, she said happily. You're welcome, said the boy. The basketball boys ran back to the court. Michelle and Emma picked up the kite and started for home. I think we had enough fun for one day, smiled Michelle. I think you're right, laughed Emma. Sorry I almost ruined your new kite. It's okay, said Emma. Oh, sorry, it's okay, said Michelle. Everyone makes mistakes. See how I added a lesson at the end? Do you see how I used other words for said? Take a look at all the things we learned. I tried to put as many things as I could into the story. You see how I started the story with a sound? You can start your story different ways, with action, with talking, with sounds. You want to bring your story to life. I told the story in small steps. That's why it was 9 pages long. Okay? Now I wanted to share some more stories, but I will in the next video. I don't want to make this video too long. So try to take one of your stories or all of your stories and add chapters to them. Okay? And I'll see you next time.